the world economy is on the mend. The COVID-19 pandemic dealt a severe blow to global markets. Now, a sense of optimism is returning. Experts predict global GDP will surpass $100 trillion in 2025. This signifies a remarkable recovery. However, the recovery is not uniform. Some regions are bouncing back faster than others. This uneven growth is creating a K-shaped recovery. Some nations are on an upward trajectory, while others are lagging behind. This disparity is a cause for concern. Wealth inequality is another pressing issue. The pandemic exacerbated existing inequalities. The wealthy have largely recovered their losses, but many low-income individuals and families continue to struggle. Bridging this gap is crucial for inclusive and sustainable growth. The global population continues to expand, which means increasing demand for resources and services. Meeting this demand while ensuring environmental sustainability is a critical challenge. It requires innovative solutions and global cooperation. Economic crises can strike any nation, regardless of size or prior stability. Lebanon, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan serve as stark reminders of this reality. Each country is grappling with its own unique set of challenges. Lebanon is facing a multifaceted crisis. Hyperinflation has crippled its economy. The Lebanese pound has plummeted in value. The country defaulted on its debt in 2020. Basic necessities are becoming increasingly unaffordable for ordinary citizens. Sri Lanka's economic woes stem from a combination of factors. Mismanagement of government finances played a role. The global pandemic devastated its tourism industry. Tax cuts, while well-intentioned, further strained the economy. Sri Lanka is now seeking assistance from the International Monetary Fund. Pakistan is grappling with a perfect storm of economic challenges. High inflation is eroding purchasing power. A mounting debt burden limits the government's ability to invest in essential services. Political instability and security concerns further complicate the situation. Pakistan's large and rapidly growing population adds another layer of complexity to its economic woes. The global economy is marked by a stark divide between advanced and developing economies. Advanced economies enjoy a number of advantages. They possess stable political systems, robust financial institutions, and well-developed infrastructure. These factors create an environment conducive to investment and economic growth. Developing economies, on the other hand, face significant hurdles. They often lack the institutional capacity and infrastructure of their more developed counterparts. Reliance on commodity exports makes them vulnerable to global price fluctuations. Political instability and conflict can further hinder their progress. Access to capital is another key differentiator. Advanced economies can borrow at low interest rates due to their strong creditworthiness. Developing nations often face higher borrowing costs. This makes it more expensive for them to finance infrastructure projects and other investments crucial for development. The digital divide further exacerbates these disparities. Advanced economies are at the forefront of the digital revolution. They are harnessing the power of technology to drive innovation and productivity growth. Many developing countries lag behind in internet access and digital literacy. This limits their ability to participate fully in the global digital economy. Infrastructure is the bedrock of a thriving economy. Roads, bridges, ports, airports, and digital networks facilitate the movement of goods, services, and people. They connect businesses to markets and workers to jobs. Investing in infrastructure is essential for boosting productivity, attracting foreign investment, and improving living standards. For developing countries, infrastructure financing poses a significant challenge. Domestic resources are often insufficient to meet their vast infrastructure needs. They must rely on a combination of public and private investment, including international loans and development assistance. However, borrowing heavily can lead to unsustainable debt levels. This can trap countries in a vicious cycle of debt servicing and economic stagnation. Careful planning and project selection are crucial. Projects should be economically viable and contribute to long-term sustainable growth, not just short-term gains. Public-private partnerships, or PPPs, offer a promising avenue for infrastructure financing. PPPs leverage the expertise and resources of the private sector while mitigating risks for governments. However, it's crucial to structure these partnerships carefully to ensure transparency, accountability, and a fair distribution of risks and rewards. China's rise reshaping the global financial landscape. China's economic ascendance has reshaped the global financial landscape. For years, China was a major financier of infrastructure projects in developing countries. It provided loans and aid through institutions like the China Development Bank and the Export-Import Bank of China. This lending spree helped fuel economic growth in many parts of the developing world. However, China's lending practices have come under scrutiny. Critics argue that China engages in debt trap diplomacy. They claim China intentionally extends unsustainable loans to developing countries. This allows China to gain leverage and extract concessions, such as access to strategic resources or support for its geopolitical interests. China's lending has also raised concerns about transparency and accountability. Unlike loans from multilateral institutions, Chinese loans often come with opaque terms and conditions. This lack of transparency makes it difficult to assess the true extent of developing countries' debt burdens and the potential risks involved. The democracy advantage fostering economic success. A strong correlation exists between democracy and economic success. Democracies tend to have higher levels of economic freedom, lower levels of corruption, and stronger legal institutions. These factors create a more predictable and stable environment for businesses to operate and for individuals to invest and prosper. Democratic governance fosters accountability. Free and fair elections provide citizens with a mechanism to hold their leaders accountable for their economic policies. This accountability incentivizes governments to adopt sound economic policies that promote sustainable and inclusive growth. Transparency is another hallmark of democratic societies. Access to information allows citizens to scrutinize government spending and hold leaders accountable for their actions. This transparency helps to reduce corruption and ensure that public resources are used effectively. While some authoritarian regimes have experienced periods of rapid economic growth, these periods are often unsustainable. The lack of accountability and transparency in authoritarian systems can lead to cronyism, corruption, and misallocation of resources. This ultimately undermines long-term economic development. Weathering the storm economic shocks and their impact. Economic shocks are an inevitable part of the global economic landscape. These shocks can arise from a variety of sources. Natural disasters, pandemics, financial crises, and geopolitical events can all disrupt economic activity and send shockwaves through the global economy. The COVID-19 pandemic serves as a stark reminder of the devastating impact economic shocks can have. The pandemic triggered a global recession, disrupting supply chains, shutting down businesses, and throwing millions into unemployment. The economic fallout from the pandemic is still being felt today. Economic shocks tend to disproportionately impact vulnerable economies. Developing countries often lack the resources and institutional capacity to cope with major economic disruptions. They may be heavily reliant on a single export commodity or sector, making them particularly susceptible to price fluctuations or demand shocks. Building resilience to economic shocks is essential for sustained economic growth. This involves diversifying economies, strengthening social safety nets, and implementing sound macroeconomic policies that promote stability and sustainability. International cooperation is also crucial for coordinating responses to global economic shocks and providing assistance to countries in need. Why Nations Fail. Insights from Acemoglu and Robinson. In their influential book, Why Nations Fail, economists Darren Acemoglu and James Robinson argue that the key to economic success lies in the nature of a nation's political and economic institutions. They contend that inclusive institutions are the foundation of prosperity. Inclusive institutions protect property rights, enforce contracts impartially, and provide a level playing field for businesses to compete. This fosters innovation, entrepreneurship, and investment, leading to economic growth. Conversely, extractive institutions concentrate power in the hands of a small elite who exploit the rest of society for their own gain. Acemoglu and Robinson's work has been both praised and criticized. Critics argue that their focus on institutions is too narrow. They contend that other factors such as geography, culture, and historical circumstances also play a significant role in shaping economic outcomes. Despite these criticisms, Why Nations Fail offers valuable insights into the complex interplay of politics, institutions, and economic development. It underscores the importance of establishing inclusive political and economic systems that empower individuals, protect property rights, and promote the rule of law. Charting a path to prosperity. Key takeaways. The quest for economic prosperity is a complex and multifaceted challenge. There is no one-size-fits-all solution. However, several key takeaways emerge from our exploration of why nations fail economically. First, inclusive political and economic institutions are essential. They provide the foundation for sustainable and equitable growth. This includes protecting property rights, enforcing contracts impartially, and ensuring a level playing field for businesses to compete. Second, investing in human capital is crucial. Education, healthcare, and social safety nets empower individuals to reach their full potential and contribute to economic growth. This also helps to reduce inequality and create a more just and equitable society. Third, infrastructure is the backbone of a thriving economy. Investing in transportation, energy, and digital infrastructure is essential for connecting businesses to markets, workers to jobs, and facilitating trade and investment. Fourth, sound macroeconomic management is critical. This includes maintaining fiscal discipline, keeping inflation in check, and pursuing policies that promote stability and predictability. It also involves managing debt levels responsibly and ensuring that borrowing is used for productive investments that generate future growth. Finally, international cooperation is indispensable. Global challenges require global solutions. Working together to address issues such as climate change, pandemics, and financial crises is essential for creating a more prosperous and sustainable future for all.